We are Bob and Michaela Bones. We have been attending Westbrook Church for 6 years.
About halfway through my pregnancy, the doctor that we were seeing in Joliet told us that we needed to have a level 2 ultrasound. We got into the ultrasound, and not too far into it, he told us that her heart rate was in the 60s, I think like 62, and a normal heart rate is about 150, and that she had developed what's called complete congenital heart block.
Yeah, they sent us over to get some testing done. I think being a parent already, and then hearing that your child is not going to make it is devastating.
So we were halfway through the pregnancy. We were 20 weeks. And by then you're so invested. Like, we wanted this baby. And I think he offered that night, at this first appointment, to terminate the pregnancy. And we were like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting here to fight for her survival now. And then for me at least, I just started praying all the time. And we weren't attending church at that time. So it was a very childlike prayer. It was just, I remember waking up in the morning saying, thank you, God, for waking up pregnant. I would feel her move, and I knew she was okay in there. And I would go to bed at night, and I would say, thank you for another day of being pregnant. And it was summer. It was July of 2002. And so I wasn't working because I was teaching. But I went back to Rosh, and her heart rate had dropped even lower, and she had developed fluid around her heart and her lungs, I think, or in a couple of different places. And they said, this is it. She's not going to make it. And I said, oh, you are wrong. You are wrong.
And I remember we left the hospital, and you said this baby can't die without a name. And I said, what do you want to call her? What do you want to name her? And she said, Hope.
Because that's all we had.
So I went for the appointment on the 24th of October, and she was due on Thanksgiving Day, which was the 28th of November that year. And he said, I do not like this. I do not like what I'm seeing. And so I was just kind of blindsided. And we went back to the OB, and he said, you know what, let's do an amnio. Let's just see what's going on.
I ended up coming home, and she got a phone call.
A half hour after I ate.
Saying, let's not wait the week or over the weekend. Just come on in. Let's try and deliver this baby. And after she was born, I remember the OB, her high-risk OB, saying that the baby wouldn't have made it over the weekend.
I guess she was about 6 days old. On Halloween, they decided that she wasn't sick enough to be in the NICU, that because she was cardiac, they put her down in the pediatric ICU. And so they put her down there.
I just remember telling them that, pretty much she needs to go back upstairs. If she doesn't go back upstairs, I was going to take her somewhere else. And they brought her back upstairs, and she started doing a little bit better.
So on Monday morning, 2 days before Christmas, they called and said that Hope was very, very sick.
And Michaela had a book of questions to ask him. And finally he stops her and he's like, if you're asking me if your daughter's going to live or die, he goes, that's not up to me. He goes, the surgery, no problem. He goes, it's up to your daughter whether she's going to live or not. And he said, in the way you guys parent, I think she'll be okay.
I think the summer was fun, and she was just kind of growing, and we were able to do more, and she was healthier. And we got into September. It was like the middle of September. It's funny because when you walk into the emergency room with a car carrier and you say, my baby is lethargic and she has a pacemaker, you are like back there faster than I thought was possible. So we went back, and they did an x-ray, blah, 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 and came in and told me that she had fluid around her heart and her lungs.
I think for me, though, that was my ultimate low. I think that's when I was as mad as you could be. She was sitting in a bed, and Hope was sitting up. She was happy, but she had a tube sticking out of her head, and Michaela was just kind of playing with her, and I just kind of put my head in my hands, and I'm like, God, I hate you. I hate you. Like, why? I'm a good person. I treat people good. I'm good. And so I tell her, I'm gonna go get something to drink. And sometimes God takes a while to answer. Sometimes he doesn't. And I walked out of the room. And I hear two doctors discussing who's gonna tell the person in the next room that their baby's never going home. I think right there was the point where I was like, I'm done. I'm done feeling guilty. I'm done feeling sorry for myself. It's a miracle. I mean, Hope was our miracle.
Being pregnant with Hope was my biggest lesson in faith, because there was nothing else that I could do except for pray and trust God.
For me, man, every opportunity I have is just seems like somebody needs hope.
I feel like my mission is, I do it in my living room, but we have this Facebook group, and it's a Heart Block Facebook group, and that is where I am able to show God's love.
The people around us is what made things amazing. Just somebody stopping off at the hospital and dropping off something was something where it was like, that held me together for that day, or that held me together for that hour. Then the next hour something else happens.
I think what's unique about us too is that we handled it so differently from our places of faith. And you know that he was angry, and so his journey through this was very different, but we had the same outcome.
God is there, and he's not going to let you down. He's never let us down.
No.
We may have let him down, but he has not let us down. We are Bob and Michaela Bones, and this is our story of hope, true hope.